degree. And in my seminar work, I try to discuss the delicate balance between rules and reasons through an examination of, as was stated, rulings of the Israeli Supreme Court and the Chief Rabbinate Council regarding Temple Mount conduct of Jewish people in Temple Mount. Now, generally, we can say that rules, at least, are supposed to be based on reasons. So we would expect that when reasons change, rules should change as well. But sometimes things are somewhat more complicated because we have to maintain some sort of balance. Reasons, if rules were to change too easily, then people would not know how to act. They would have to reconsider the reasons every time they take an action. And on the other hand, rules that no longer serve any purpose because the reasons behind them have changed completely are inefficient as well because they place a needless burden on society. People do pointless things because they have a rule that says they have to do it. Now, another complication arises when the rule has a religious origin, because in those particular cases, we sometimes can't tell what the reasons are or were, and so we never know whether they've changed, whether the rule needs to be changed because of that. Well, anyway, in my seminar work, I tried to look at two specific rules that have a relationship with Jewish conduct in Temple Mount. The first is the ancient religious rule that forbade Jews from entering the complex. And the second one is a legal rule that was enacted during the time of the British Mandate. And it forbade courts from discussing matters that concern holy places of worship, one of them, of course, being the Temple Mount area. Now, these two rules are unique. First, because the reasons behind them have changed very dramatically since they were created. One was created in very ancient times, and the other was created before this very state existed. And in the recent decades, not so recent in fact, but in the last century, the situation on the Temple Mount has also changed dramatically in many ways. Political, religious, sometimes also external factors have contributed to massive changes. And these rules have also required changing in certain times. Well, and anyway, these occurrences, at least in my opinion, give us a chance to examine how different types of changes affect specific rules. And the second reason I chose those two rules was because they were discussed very extensively, both in the Supreme Court of Israel and the Chief Rabbinate Council. This allows us to also see whether institutional considerations affect change of rules, and also help us compare the willingness to change rules in those two institutions. Now, I'll skip to my conclusions, and I found at least that regarding the Chief Rabbinate Council, there were at least 4 opinions about the relationship between religious rules and reasons. And some members were of the opinion that religious rules can change if circumstances behind them have changed, while others limited that ability to religious reasons, meaning it would require a religious change, but not a political or any other circumstance. A third and opposite opinion claimed that religious rules never change because the reasons behind them are always unknown, and we can never be certain that the real reason behind the rule has changed. But the fact is that most of the members preferred institutional considerations over those 3 opinions, and they didn't change the rule only because they thought they should not deviate from the previous traditions, from the previous rulings of rabbis over the years. Now, this particular position, I think, is still adopted by the Chief Rabbinate Council, and it also has a price, because the pressure on the council has been steadily increasing over the years, and the reason is, of course, that the rule is seen to be not in alignment with the reasons that were originally behind it. Now, the opposite is true when I look at the Israeli Supreme Court. While some judges did indeed adopt a formalistic approach and refused to change the rules even when they were completely proven to be irrelevant, other judges were more ready to change the rule when the situation arose. But what they did was examine things, the pros and cons in every single case brought before them. So this, in It is very similar in that way to the Chief Rabbinate's Council, because that also has a price. It means that people have been turning to the Supreme Court over and over again. The judges have been re-examining almost similar circumstances along the years, and most of the times they've also reached the same conclusions. Well, in any case, what I tried to show was that even the two institutions were faced with similar problems, but they both adopted very different solutions. Each one has its benefits, but I think that both also have a price. And finally, I would like to join in with the gratitude that was said earlier to the people in this faculty who have given me a chance to study and a productive learning environment, and also to all of you for supporting academic research and the pursuit of knowledge. And finally, to Professor Lobelboim for his excellent guidance during the seminar. Beautiful. Thank you all.